Hi guys, today we are going to start to linking the functions with the return type of the parameters in the C programming language or the C++ programming language, which we call the void, integer, or the something like that, the natural type of the C or C++ programming language. Okay, and so as always we need to add the new file in here with the name of the main CPP. Okay, it's not required to name with the main. For example, I can say this Kamil.cpp or Ali.cpp or Berkem.cpp in here, but this file needs to be correlated or organized with the function of the main function. In C++ programming language, we should use the IO stream for the input-output arguments, like the printf function. Okay, and so we need to define the function definition in here with the return value of the 0 or exit success value in here. Okay, and so in order to compile any program in C++ programming language, and so we need to give this main function body. And so what about the main function? Main function is the starting address of RAM location for our program. Okay, and so in order to use the IO stream library in here, we need to give the std namespace with the name of the hello world in here on so std and li. Okay, and so we need to add the new terminal in here, and then what if we push the Ctrl F5 button in here, and so the compiler tells us or gives us the two options, C++ GDB LLDB, and so if we add the environment path to relate this compiler in the Windows or Linux, it doesn't matter what you are using the operating system, and so if we select this code and then the g++.executable file is calling in order to compile the whole programs. Okay, and so in the previous lesson we have talked about the launch JSON file or task JSON file. Launch is directly related to the debugging session, and task is only related to the related to the compiling session. Okay, and so in the terminal section we have an output in here, hello world. Okay, and so we can compile any code by using Visual Studio Code IDE programs, and then we can continue with our main subject of these laboratory examples. Okay, and so in the first place we should talk about the return values in CPP. Okay, firstly, what's the return value? The return value is that, for example, if we declare any function in here, like int summation, int num1, int num2, if we declare this function like this, and so we can use the num1 plus num2 notation in here. And so what's the return value of this function? Every function in the C programming language, in the syntax rules, every function should have the return value or the natural type of CPP. And so every function generates a number or characters or float number or double number or something like that, which is given by the natural type of the CPP. And so return value is directly related to the result of this function. Okay, and so what is the return value of this function? At the left hand side of this function name, we should declare the return types and its values. Okay, And so when it comes to the discuss about these things, we can split every function body into the two parts. The parameters or arguments, like this one, the arguments of function is that the int num1, int num2, and so return type of function can be given by the integer value. But we don't know what is the result of this function, because this result of this function is directly related to the num1 and num2. And so if we're adding two numbers in here, and we should call this return keyword in here, and so this function generates the return value with the type of the integer values, okay? And so the result is generated by the num1 and num2, okay? But as we all say, the C++ is nothing more but the syntax rule in or within the range of the rules in CPP compilers. And so we have a specific keyword like the void. You can translate the void to unknown in the specific language, but in English or something like that. And so, but in C++ programming language, void means that returns nothing. What about this? This is directly related to or concerning with the parameters of the if we have two arguments in here for the addition or the subtracting or multiplying the any function body in here with the parameter of the num1 and num2, but this parameters is used in this function, but this function returns nothing or generates no value in this process, okay? And so we will forward to prove this notation with the first example body, okay? And so if we are using this syntax in here, and so we need to add the using namespace keywords in here in order to use the std or standard namespace definition, which is declared in the IOStream library, okay? And so what? If we suppose that we need to have a function with the parameter of the parameter of the print hello world, okay, like this one. But in order to use this function body or this function, we need to define this code in the outside of the main. And so if we have this kind of definition in here, we should declare this function or declaration of functions can be given by the print hello world in here, okay? And so what about the void? If we are running this code like this one, and so the compiler gives an error in here because this file or print hello world was not declared in these scopes. There's no error in here, but it's directly related to the GCC compiler, and so in the normal case this should be give an error, okay? Don't make me mistakes, okay? And so what about this? If we have any return value of this function, we should add the void keywords in here, okay? And also if we have any parameters, or if we don't have any parameters for the print hello world function, and so we should also give the void keywords in here, okay? And then this is the declaration of the function in order to find the name of this function in here. But what about the definition of the function? Definition of the function means that the whole applying rules or the codes is included in the in this notation, but for a given one rule which is that this print hello world should be declared in here. Okay, and then what? If we run these codes and then look at this, there is no problem in here because the syntax is always okay, because we declare this function in order to find the print hello world in here, and so definition is given at the bottom of the main function body. Okay, and so what about this? The print hello world function is given in here, but what's the purpose of this function? Purpose of this function is that printing the hello world in here. And so if we have this kind of definition in here, and so we can call the print hello world function, and then we have, if you push the Control F5 button in here, and then the hello world is given on this notation. Okay, and so we can use this print hello function with the integer loop values like this one, e is smaller than and e plus plus in here. And so if I run this code, and then we have 10 times hello world in the output section. Okay, and so this is the basic definition of the void function body in here. Okay, but suppose that if we have this return value of the integer in here, and so we can correct the integer value in here. And so if I run these codes, and then we have also a problem in here like this one. This compilers says that the no return statement in function returning non-void function, which means that this function should have the at least one return value on this parenthesis. Okay, and so if I implement this code like this one, exit success in here, and then if I run these codes, and so there is no problem in here. But if we should use this exit success function in here, no, we don't have any requirements or dictation to use this return value. In C++ programming language, every function has a return value like this one. And so this is the first example session in here, but in the second example we will move with the statement of this return value. Okay, and so if we have again the void definition of this function body in here, and then if I run these codes, and there is no error in here, but this return statement should also be eliminated from the code, and then if I run these codes, there is no error or warning in here, and so the terminal gives us the 10 times hello world in here. Okay, and so in the beginning of the lesson I said that every function should have the return value, but the void does not, and so we can use the return keywords like this one. If we write these keywords in here, and so the void function parameters knows this is the return type of the void, and so it's syntaxically, or in the syntax rules, there is no error in this compiler section. Okay, and so this is our basic definition of the void keywords in here. And so in the second place, we should forward to the functions that return more than one value or call by references. Okay, and so these are the first application session related to this lesson. And so in the example 3 session we should also include the IOStream again in order to use the cout and cin function in here. And so we should give the starting address of the main function body in here. Okay. And so what about the call by references? Call by references means that, or in the call by reference, call by value. There are two types of definition related to this function body. And so suppose that we have a sum function again in here, int num1 and int num2 in here. And so with the return value of the what, the integer type of the return value. But there are basic definition, or there are basic rules to use this num1 and num2 values in here. For example, if we have the purpose or the objective on this program like this one, we should create a swap function in here for the what, int num1 and num2. Okay, and so if I enter the num1 value and num2 value, and so if I call this my swap function in here, and I suppose or I expect to what, the change variables values on the what, the num1 to num2, and so num2 value is assigned to the what, the num1 value in here. For example, if we have the some structure in here, please give two numbers in here like this one, and so C in num1 and num2 can be given at this time, and so int num1 and int num2 should also be defined at the beginning of this code. And then what? If I call the my swap function with the return value of the what, the void, and so if I know this rule or the void keyword, and so I expect that there is no return value or there is no information coming from this my swap function. Okay, and so the my swap function num1 and num2 can be given to this function, and so again num1 and num2 can be outputted with the parameter of the what, the cout function body. Okay, and so in the first place we should give the what, this syntax, and so we can also give the warning to the user before swap and then after swap. Okay, and then what, we can implement the swap body in here like this one. In order to swap any function in here like this one, we should declare the any temporary value in here with the parameter of the what, or assignment value of the what, num1. Num1 is assigned to the temp value, and so num1 is assigned to the num2, because num2 is assigned to the num1 in the value of the, in terms of the values of it here, but the num1 is lost from the information. And so in the first place we should create a temporary variable in here in order to capture or fill the num1 values, and so at the beginning of this code num10 num2 is assigned with the what, the temp value in here. Okay, and then what, if I run these codes and the terminal tells us that please give two numbers, for example 5 and 12 in here, and if I give the answer in here before the swap, num1 is equal to the 5, num2 is equal to the 12, but after the swap num1 is 5 and num2 is 12. What's wrong with these codes? There is nothing wrong in here. only wrong thing is that is the usage of the C++ programming language. This is the definition of the call by value. Okay, what's the meaning of this? If you are using the mySwap function in here, and so any parameters can be given to this function, but integer num1 value and num2 value is created or are created in here instantly. And so what? If we are giving the num1 and num2 value to this function, num1 instantly creating in this scopes, and so num1 is equal to 5, num2 is equal to 12, and then the temp value is created, and num1 and num2 is what? Change with the other value of these things. But at the end of this scope, num1 and num2 are destroyed by the compilers. And so what? In C or C++ programming language, in order to change the values of the values of the any type of variables, we should use the pointer, or in C++ programming, the reference values. Okay, because we can give the num1 and num2 value, but this num1 and num2 is stored in the RAM and address location of this computer. And so what? If we are change the real number or real value of the num1 and num2, we should give the address location of this variable. Otherwise, the num1 and num2 are new variables in here. But the initial condition of the initial condition of the 5 and 12 in here. And so if we are using this notation num1 and num2 and produce some number in here, we can call or we can define this usage of this mySwap function call by value. And so what about the call by reference? In the call by reference in the C++ programming language, we have the unique keyword operators like this one, int reference num1 int reference num2. And what about the reference? Reference means that reference is giving the values and or giving both the values and address of the variable. And so if we have the address value of these variables, and so the RAM location is also added in here. And so if I'm using the reference notation in here like this one, and so this function takes the num1 value or the address and the value of the num1 operators. And so in the reference usage, we have the address location and value and its value of the variable. And so unlike the call by value in here, we don't need to produce the new variables like the num1 and num2. Okay, but in this definition like this one, new variables are created. Okay, but in this case we don't, or new variables are not created. The existence one is used. Okay, and what about this definition mySwap2 is also given in here, my swap, and so this function is reference with what, the reference value of these things. And then what? If I use the my swap function 2 in here, look at the result of this code in here. If I run this code, and then I can also give the 5 and 12 value for the num1 and num2 in here. And so what about this? Voila! The num1 is equal to 12 and num2 is equal to the 5. Because the only reason is operating is in this code is that we use the reference or call by reference value. Okay? This is our basic notation of the C++ programming language, and so the C programming language does not have this kind of information or rules or the feature of these things. But in CPP programming language, the compiler designer creates the more flexible codes or the easy to write code in here by using these operators, okay? Because in C programming language, we should create like this code, like this one, my swap3 function body in here with the parameter of the what, the integer star, or the address type of the num1, address type of the num2 value. Okay? And so if I write these codes in here like this one, and then what? In order to create the temp variable in here with the star operator, in order to get the value of the inside value of the num1 address pointing in here, and so star num1 is equal to the star num2, and so star num2 is equal to the what, the temp value or temporary value in here. In the C usage, we should define this code because in C programming language we don't have the call by reference mechanism. Okay, and so in order to use this my swap3 function in here, my swap3 with the parameter of what, address num1, address num2 in here. Okay, and so if I run these codes again, and so 5 and 12 or 5 and 100 can be given to these codes, and so the 5, 100, 105 is changed with the relation of the what, the swap function usage. Okay, and so this kind of functions possess the return value of nothing, and then what, we can use the return keywords like this one. Okay, but if you don't use it, there's no problem in here. Okay, and this is called the what, the call by reference mechanism in the C++ programming language, call by pointer. Okay, it's only C and CPP possess these things, only CPP these things, and C CPP these things. Okay, and then what, in the next round we will talk about the function calling with another function. Okay, these are the what, the third example of this laboratory session, and so the example 4 given by the what, this notation. As always we do, we need to add the iostream library in here with the usage of the namespace std in here, and int main function should be given in here. And then what, if I run this code, and then there is no error value in here. Okay, and so what about the function calling another function? Okay, now we can create example of the what, the change value function in here with the parameter of the what, the double reference to what, the num. Okay, and so if we give the function body in here and see out, give a number in here like this one, and see in the integer num1 can be given at this point, and so num1 is also added in here. And so if I change this value with the what, the called by reference mechanism in here, and then we can use this notation cout value at this point, and so we can give the what, the change value of these parameters. Okay, like this one. And so we can call the change value function in here. But now we can use, or we can give the num1 value in here with the type of what, the double value. Okay, and so cout in here, the num1 is equal to the what, num1 is equal to the num1 at this point. And so we can write, or we can output this num1 variable by using this statement. Okay, and so we can use this variable at this time, and so we can change the num variable with the what, the 100 value. Okay, and then what, if I run this code in here, the given number is equal to the what, the 6 can be given at this point, and so the change of value of these parameters is equal to the what, the 100. But we can, or we only use the what, the num1 variable value in here. But if I use this reference mechanism at this point, and so the both the address location and its value given to this function, and so this num value is equal to the what, the num1 value, which is declared in the what, in the main function body. Okay, and so if I change this function body, or I can write the new codes in here, function 1 with the parameter of the double num in here, and so I can copy off all these things in here, and so this reference is removed from the function parameters. And then what, the change value func1 is equal to the num1, and so if I run this code, and then what, the 6 also is given at this time, and so the change value of these parameters is equal to the what, the 6. And so this is the calling by value, this is the calling by reference. Okay, and so function calling another function is operated by this kind of structures in the main function body. Okay, this is the main example of this session in here, and so we can create the whole these things like in this domain of the what, the calling reference calling value at this time. Okay, and then what, these are the fourth example session. They relate to the laboratory section in here, and so the example 5 is also given at this time. But the example 5 is directly related to the what, they related to the giving or drawing a some diamond or triangle function body, in the C++ programming language. Suppose that we have a task to create the triangle or the square of the shape by the usage of the star operator or diamond operator in C++ programming language. Okay, and so if I use this notation in here, the IOStream should add at this time, and so using namespace is also given at this time, and int main body is given in here. Okay, and then what? If we give some specific shape by using the C++ programming language, cout give the row number in here like this one, and in the row assignment is also given at this point. Okay, and so we can create some square waveform in here with the usage of these things. Integer I is equal to the 0, e smaller than row, e plus plus in here, and then for integer j is equal 0, j is equal or is smaller than row, j plus plus. Okay, and then what? If we can use the star operation in here like this one, and the empty space can be given at this time, and so we can use give the new line characters in here, and then what? If we have this kind of function in here, and then the row number, for example 3, and so we have a square wave or square shape which is created by the diamonds in the output section of these programs. Okay, and so what about the pyramid by using this kind of notation? And so this is the example 5, and then the example 6 can be given by the include IOStream in here using namespace std, and integer main function is also given at this time, and so return 0 in here. Okay, and so in order to create this pattern we need to create the two variables, space and rows in here, and so cout enter number of rows in here, and so in the rows should be assigned to the coming from the user. Okay, and then what? In order to use this pattern, integer I is equal to the 1, and k is equal to the 0, is smaller and equals to rows, and I plus plus, and k is equal to 0. This is the awkward usage of the for loop, but in the first place the first parameter of the for loop is directly related to the initial conditions. Okay, and so the second parameters for the for loops is the conditional statement or the if else statement or the truthful or true or false statement, because this for loop is continue to run until this is false. Okay, and so at the last statement, every state we can perform these for loop statements, and then the program continues with this structure, and so I is continuous to increase the value of in this notation, and so k is always equal to the 0 value at this time. Okay, and so what about this? For the space value is equal to the 1, space smaller and equals to rows minus 1i plus plus space can be given at this time, and so this is related to the empty space of the pyramids. Okay, and then what? If we have this kind of information, we can use the while loop in here, k is not equal to the what? Is not equal to the 2 times I minus 1. This is coming from the maths in here, and so C out can be used to what? The star, empty space, and plus plus k value at this time. Okay, and then what? In each iteration we should give the new line character at this position. Okay, and so if I run this code and we don't have any error in here, and so I can give the 10 value in here, and so what? The pyramid is created by the programs. Okay, and so the first part of this for loop is included what? The empty space in here, but in the second loop we should create these pyramids diamonds. Okay, and so 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and blah blah blah. This is created by the what? This code. And so the empty space is created, but created with the usage of the what? These for loops. Okay, and so you can create or establish any pattern by using this diamond analogy. It's useful to what? To improve your C++ algorithm skills. In order to what? In order to use any design pattern problems in the CPP or in the engineering applications. Okay, and this is the last example of this laboratory session. I hope you learned everything about the call by reference and void return value, and how to create the design pattern in the C++ programming language. And so I hope we will meet in the next week about the CPP programming language with the new example sessions of these things. And have a good day, guys.